For more on the markets, I want to bring in Gary Kaltbaum, president of Countbound Capital Management. And Gary, you say that the problem is really here in the United States. It's not really about Europe. Do you mean that the problem is with the United States government? Is it regulation? What do you think is the issue here in this country, Gary?
Well, Europe is a basket case. There's no doubt about it. I just noticed that Italy 1-year bonds went from 2.9 to 4.1 in just the last month. But I think it's more of here. You got to realize that in the past, we have always been the country that propped up everywhere else, and we can't do it anymore because we have 15 to 16 trillion in debt, heading towards 20, and we just have no game at this point in time. And now we have another proposal to tax more and to spend more, and it basically does nothing for nobody. And I think the markets are seeing it, the markets are acting in kind, and so we enter a bear market because of it.
You know, Gary, I want to bring in Liz McDonald into this because we were just talking before we came to you, Gary, about these new, we're getting some statements from Jack Lew about what's going to be in the president's plan, and one of the things is going to be limiting tax deductions for those that make $200,000 on an individual basis, or for couples, families at $250,000.
So this is
more
really,
taxes. It's more taxes.
Really, this is taxing the wealthy, the 200,000 crowd who's struggling to get by and with family problems and whatever in Manhattan or big cities like San Francisco. I mean, will this die on the vine, Gary Kay, this move by the president to raise money by limiting deductions or taxing the so-called wealthy in brackets at 200,000 plus? 200,000.
Well, look, here's my problem. It's not going to affect the wealthy raising taxes, but it prevents other people from becoming wealthy. And that's basically, he's just putting impediments into business, employees, employers, and just people all alike. I speak to businesses every day, both big, small, and gigantic, and they're all saying the same thing. What the heck is going on here? Just go away. You talk about regulation nation. There's too many regulations, more and more by the day. They're not even going through Congress to do it. They're doing it underground. And now here we're back again. You think about this. I deal in logic every day when it comes to the markets. You think about the fact they tried $1.2 trillion in spending already besides the deficit spending. And look where we are. And, oh, let's go back to the same thing that did not work. And my parents taught me when I was 5 years old, if you're doing something and it's not working, you've got to do something differently, and it's just not working in Washington, D.C. And guess what? The markets know it. Look what happened from this president's speech. The markets have cratered once again, and markets do have a voice, markets do have an ear, and you see what's happening right in front of you.
And Gary, before I let you go, we're showing the down, we're showing an intraday, but also the volatility. The VIX was up 14% last week, Gary Kay. And I know that you're in cash. That's why you're not picking anything, because you're just out. You're just sitting on the sidelines. But how concerned are you about the volatility that we're seeing?
Well, I'm definitely concerned. We had, when you see a big 20% drop off the top like we saw, and now we got this little bounce up a little bit, and then we're falling off again. For me, that's the worst of all scenarios. It tells me that there's big selling by the big money crowd. Buyers are not stepping up. And most importantly, and I've been saying this now for 5 months, remember, Cheryl, when I was on your show, just follow the banks. And not just here, you talk Europe. European banks are crashing. Bank America, you get the CEO coming out and saying we don't have to raise capital, then the next week raise $13 billion. There's just no trust out there, and the markets are telling them you can't be doing the same things you did in 08, and thus you're seeing bank stocks getting hit. And as the bank stocks go, I can promise you the market's going to go.
Gary Kaltbaum, president of Countbound Capital Management, himself a bear for months and months. Thank you, Gary. Good to see you. Thank